Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I would just like to make the following notes on the record, since statements have been made in this chamber today saying that we should name bridges or other public monuments after Mr. Seeger, whose music certainly did entertain a lot of folks over the years. But let us not forget that as a young man, Pete Seeger opposed America's entry into the war against Nazism. Let us also not forget that Pete Seeger was a devout communist who supported Joseph Stalin while Stalin was murdering 30 million of his countrymen. Let us not forget that Pete Seeger did not renounce communism until the very end years of his life. Long after, decades after, it was known that communism has resulted in the deaths of tens of millions slaughtered worldwide. Mr. Seeger lent his name and his considerable talents to opposition to the war in Vietnam, notwithstanding the millions of Cambodians that were slaughtered by communism in its aftermath, and the enslavement and deaths of hundreds of thousands of Vietnamese by the communists that were left vulnerable after the United States withdrew. So whatever you think of Mr. Seeger's music, let us not ignore his politics. His politics were to support authoritarian regimes around the world who slaughtered tens of millions of the helpless. For that reason, Mr. Speaker, I oppose a resolution that supports Mr. Seeger's life and memory, and I would certainly oppose vehemently the naming of any monument in the United States for a person who undermined the very principles of freedom that this country was founded upon. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.